Hey everyone, it's Nina. So today I'm just going to do a really quick video, just something that I've been kind of reflecting on over the past month or two. It's something that's come up for me in some conversations and speaking with some people in regards to quad rights. So Ra talks about quad rights being kind of like a fifth type. So we don't generally follow the same rules as the other types, and as a 4/6 emotional manifestor, I kind of feel this like a lot. I know there are a lot of different variables to a chart, and I'm still going through my deconditioning journey, but as I'm leaning more into my rightness, I'm finding that I'm waiting a lot, and I'm taking in a lot of information all the time. I'm becoming more like hyper aware of the information that I'm taking in, the types of information that I'm taking in, almost as if kind of like a reflector. It's like I'm taking things in from the environment and kind of tasting them. But I mean, it's on a much deeper level, in the sense that we're kind of like this really deep well where we're just taking in the frequency and the vibration and just like the energy and the spirit of like the place and the people and the things around us. And I think that like as a quad right, I'm starting to see where being in really loud or really busy atmospheres is just incredibly overwhelming, because I'm trying to constantly take in all of this information. So I kind of feel like a huge introvert the more that I go into my deconditioning journey. And I think part of that is me being on the roof and I'm feeling more aloof as a 6 line. But I will say, now that I'm becoming more in tune with my body and I'm really listening to it, all those things that I used to love to do, like going to concerts or being around a lot of people. I'm a kitchens environment, so I love to be surrounded by a lot of things, like environments where things are being created and there's lots of energy and newness and ideas coming to fruition, or change or mutation coming from a specific environment. Like, I've loved to be in that space. And every once in a while, when I'm in the mood with my 1222, that is the case. But I'm finding more and more that I really like quiet places. And when I'm in need to collect information, or I'm feeling intuitively called to go somewhere based on what my authority is telling me, or I'm getting an urge to go somewhere, I don't tend to gravitate towards like those really busy places, because I'm becoming hyper aware of the fact that I'm taking all of this information from the environment. And once I'm around, those really busy environments. So for example, I was going to like these crazy chaotic markets when I was in Mexico, and I would feel like I was going to have a panic attack because there was just so much going on around me. It was almost like I needed someone around me to kind of like ground me, because it was just so much there, and it took me like days to recover after being in a space like that, because I was digesting and processing all of that information that I was taking in from that environment. So that's one thing about being a quad right going into my deconditioning journey. I'm not sure if this is how everyone else experiences it, but I do have an open spleen, and so that may play a little bit of part in it. But it's actually been very surprising for me to realize that environments like that are just not healthy for me to be in anymore. And that's like kind of like an identity or something I've really had to let go of, because it was something I used to be in, or it used to not even bother me at all, because I would just kind of like filter it out or block it out. And now that I'm just more in tune with myself, 3 years into my experiment, it's just way more intense. And so I'm curious what everyone else's experiences have been being in loud or large places with lots of people. So like being at an amusement park is really overwhelming for me. It's really exhausting for me. And even though like I'm a non-sacral being, I used to be able to just really hook into a lot of the generators that I was around and have a lot of energy. But mentally, when I'm in places like that, it gets to be very exhausting pretty quickly. So that's one thing about being a quad right that I've really noticed. And another thing is that just like maybe this has something to do with my incarnation cross as well, being on the right angle cross of consciousness. But I'm noticing when I'm around other people, I can just instantly pick up in the depth of them because of what's being reflected back to me and how I feel around them. So for example, I'm around people where I'm just like, this conversation is not going anywhere, or I'm not able to respond to them in a way that I feel like I'm smart, or that any quality information is coming out of me. And it's almost like I'm like this reflector. So it's almost as if quad rights are like a hodgepodge of all the other types. So the generators, manifesting generators, and manifestors, and projectors, and reflectors. And it's almost like we embody a little bit of each of those different types. And so that's something that just kind of like came to my mind, where what if we are kind of just like the melting pot of all the other types. And I feel like when I'm around people, it's like when I'm having these really inflow conversations and things are just coming out of me and I'm like, well, where did that come from? I know I'm around somebody who is really good for me or is really correct for me because of what they are pulling out of me. And so that's been something I've been experimenting with, and especially being on the roof and realizing like the quality of my network kind of sucks. Like the first 30 years of my life, I collected all of these friends, and with my career and like all of this, it wasn't correct for me. And so as I've been going through my deconditioning process, I'm like, I kind of need to build a new network in some sense, because a lot of the people that I was hanging out with just weren't correct for me. And so when I'm around some of those people, I'm like, this doesn't feel good. Whereas before I was trying to force it and I wasn't listening to my authority, my emotional authority, and my mind was saying, oh, well, this is a good connection, so it needs to happen, instead of it being something that felt correct for me after wading through my wave. But having that extra component of being a quad right, and also having the cognition of feeling, all of these things combined, I get a really good sense of the person that I'm first meeting, and whether this person is someone that I want to spend time around with, or that I feel like is really healthy for me to be around. So I'm just going to stop right there. Like I said, kind of one of the biggest things for me that I have been contemplating is, quad rights being kind of like a fifth type, and being a hodgepodge of all the other different types. So kind of being that reflector, where we can reflect back and see like the quality of the person that we're around and whether they're correct for us. And then as far as like, maybe this is me being an emotional authority, but I feel like I'm waiting a lot, because it's like I'm intaking so much information and all of it is starting to like connect together. And so as I gather more and more information based on the environments and the people that I'm around, I'm going to need time in order to process that information and kind of piece it together before something really clicks for me. So that's being like an emotional authority, but also I'm sure there are other aspects of being a projector or being a generator that some of you, like other quad rights, may notice that you embody. As a manifestor, I connect with being a manifestor, but I'm kind of like a super chill manifestor, where I don't experience a lot of the anger that a lot of manifestors feel like they associate with. And I do have it every once in a while, but it's more of kind of like, oh, I'm angry, and then I'm like, okay, well, why? Maybe I didn't inform, or maybe this person just isn't correct for me, but I don't feel like I need to hold on to it. It just doesn't feel like it's worthwhile. So, all right, I'm going to stop right now. Just wanted this to be a short video, so I would love to hear what everyone says, or what your response is in regards to QRs. What I'm finding with doing these videos, I love doing them, but sometimes I wish that I could have conversations with other people in order for us to kind of draw information out of each other. So that is actually something that I'm going to be initiating with some people, or I am openly inviting anyone who would love to do some sort of like podcast, or would love to come on some of these videos with me to kind of like talk human design things, or like your deconditioning journey or anything like that. So reach out to me if that's the case. I'd love to hear from you. And my Instagram and my website and everything is below in the description. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.